The drizzle clung to the marble as the billionaire's steps slowed near the graveyard. His cane tapped against the stones, steady but heavy, as though every strike pulled up memories he wanted buried. It had been months since he last stood before the cold granite that bore his son's name. He had built empires, crushed rivals, and signed deals worth billions. Yet none of it could repair the emptiness his son's absence left behind. The rain mixed with the ache in his chest as he stared at the engraved letters, each one cutting sharper than the last. But then he froze. Someone else was there. At first he thought it must be a mistake, some mourner who had taken the wrong path through the cemetery. But as his sharp eyes adjusted through the mist, the scene pulled him like a magnet. A young black woman was kneeling in the mud, her dress soaked through, her body trembling as she clutched her swollen belly. Beside her stood a little boy, no older than 6, holding tightly to her arm. Their quiet sobs rose through the drizzle and struck him harder than any storm. His voice thundered without warning, echoing across the rows of gravestones. "Why are you here?" The woman flinched but didn't move away. Instead, she lifted her tear-streaked face toward him. Her lips quivered, and for a moment he thought she might faint under the weight of grief. But then she spoke, and her words pierced the billionaire's armor. "Because he was my husband." Silence fell. Not the quiet of peace, but the kind that comes when the ground is about to crack beneath your feet. The billionaire's hand tightened on his cane. Impossible, he thought. His son, married, a wife, a child. He knew everything about his family, or so he believed. The boy shifted, peeking out from behind his mother's arm. The billionaire's breath hitched. The child's eyes were gray. His son's eyes. The same stormy gray that had carried generations of his bloodline. He staggered, his cane slipping against the wet stone, as the truth pressed in closer than he wanted it to. The boy stared at him with quiet innocence, as if waiting for him to say something, anything. The woman pulled a wrinkled photo from her purse, her hands trembling. She held it out toward him. The billionaire hesitated before taking it, his fingers brushing against the damp paper. There, in the photograph, was his son, smiling with his arm wrapped around her. His son, alive, happy, holding her close like she was the center of his world. The billionaire's heart lurched. This was no stranger's fantasy, no trick. This was proof. The whispers began almost immediately. Strangers in the graveyard, sheltering under umbrellas, had noticed the confrontation. Phones half raised, recording, their curiosity fueled by the drama unfolding before their eyes. The billionaire's world had always been scrutinized by cameras, by headlines hungry for scandal. But this was different. This wasn't business. This was his blood, his family, his son's legacy exposed in front of strangers. He wanted to shout, to deny it, to push the memory away. But the boy's gaze held him. It wasn't just the eyes. It was the way he tilted his head, the same way his son used to when he was confused. The billionaire felt his chest tighten, an ache that refused to be ignored. The woman's voice cracked as she continued. "He didn't tell you about us because he was afraid. Afraid of what you'd say, afraid you'd never accept me. But he loved me. He loved us." She pressed a folded note into his trembling hands. "He wrote this before he died. I think he wanted you to find it someday." The billionaire opened the note slowly, his heart pounding. His son's handwriting spilled across the page. The words were raw, unpolished, filled with the kind of truth that could break a man. He read lines about love, about fear, about regret. He read how his son had met her, how he had fallen in love despite the weight of expectations. And he read about the boy, his grandson, who carried his name, his spirit, his future. For a long moment, the billionaire couldn't breathe. His empire, his wealth, his carefully crafted image, all of it felt meaningless compared to what stood before him. A woman heavy with his son's unborn child, and a little boy who looked at him like a stranger. The drizzle thickened, blurring his vision, though he could not tell if it was rain or tears. He had always believed himself too strong to weep, but grief and truth had a way of dismantling even the strongest walls. He wanted to reach out, to pull them close, to say something that would make the pain go away. But another part of him, cold, stubborn, protective, fought back. Could he accept them? Could he accept her? Could he face the world knowing his son had hidden such a secret from him? The crowd whispered louder, phones capturing his hesitation. Every second stretched into an eternity. The woman's hand trembled as she held her son close, her eyes pleading not for wealth, not for status, but for recognition, for humanity, for belonging. The billionaire closed his eyes, memories of his son flashing like lightning. Birthdays missed because of business trips, conversations cut short, regrets piling higher than profits. His son had lived and loved in secret, perhaps because of him. That realization crushed him. When he opened his eyes again, he found himself looking directly into his grandson's gaze. The boy's lips parted, and in a small, trembling voice he asked, "Are you my grandpa?" The question shattered what little resistance he had left. His cane clattered against the stones as he fell to his knees in the mud. The boy blinked, unsure, until the billionaire opened his arms. Slowly, cautiously, the child stepped forward, and when their embrace came, it was like something long broken had begun to mend. Gasps rose from the crowd, but he didn't care. For the first time in years, the billionaire felt alive. The woman's tears streamed freely as she watched, her shoulders shaking with relief. She wasn't alone anymore. Her son wasn't fatherless. Her unborn child wouldn't be hidden. The billionaire whispered into the boy's ear, "Yes, I am your grandpa, and I will never walk away again." In that moment, the rain didn't matter. The cameras didn't matter. The whispers didn't matter. What mattered was the truth finally out in the open. A family broken by secrets now stitched together by love. Days later, the story spread beyond the cemetery. Headlines captured it. The billionaire who discovered his hidden family. Some mocked, some praised, some gossiped. But for him, the noise of the world no longer carried weight. He invited the woman and her son into his home. He walked with them through halls lined with portraits, halls that would now include their faces too. It wasn't easy. His pride still fought against acceptance at times, and the world tested his resolve. But each morning when he saw his grandson smile and felt the tiny kicks of the unborn child within the woman's belly, he knew he was exactly where he needed to be. For a man who had once believed money could buy anything, he discovered the one thing it could never purchase: family. Not the kind etched into wills or contracts, but the kind written in the eyes of a child and the quiet strength of a grieving woman. What began as drizzle in a graveyard became the storm that washed away his loneliness, revealing something far more valuable than all the riches he had ever owned: love, forgiveness, and the chance to start again. And for the first time since his son's death, the billionaire finally felt at peace.